Good morning, grade 9s, and welcome to week 4 of Virtual Apex. Today we're going to look at a poem by Edwin Arlington called Richard Cory. I want you to, every time that you see this picture that says take note, it's usually at the bottom of the screen. I want you to pause and write down that page. Right, let's start. Okay, so that was a song that's based on this poem called Richard Cory. Let's quickly read it together. You can see that it consists of 5 stanzas. Whenever Richard Cory went downtown, we people on the pavement looked at him. He was a gentleman from soul to crown, clean favored and imperially slim. And he was always quietly arrayed, and he was always human when he talked. But still, he flattered pulses when he said, "Good morning," and he glittered when he walked. And he was rich, yes, richer than a king, and admirably schooled in every grace. In fine, we thought that he was everything to make us wish that we were in his place. So on we worked and waited for the light, and went without the meat and cursed the bread. And Richard Cory, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head. I want you to pause, and I want you to write down this poem. And then before we continue, I want you to look at these 2 words that I thought would be new to you. The first word is imperially, which means to be majestic or very grand or fancy. And then the second word is arrayed, display or arrange things in a particular way. You must please write this down as well. When you're done, you can continue. The summary of the poem is, it's about a man who the people think that he's got everything and he's very rich, and everybody puts him on a pedestal. They look at him and they think he's very fancy and he looks like a king, but at the end of the day, he goes home and he kills himself. And he basically shows the people of the town that some things can't be purchased and that looks can be very deceiving. I want you to please write down the summary of the poem. I want you to take note of the tone and the repetition. The entire poem before the last line displays a tone of admiration and respect. The poorer townspeople respect and admire Richard Cory. They look up to him, literally and figuratively. They want to be him. And this build-up of Richard Cory's character allows the last line to have a huge impact. The impact and irony of the last line is used to emphasize Robinson's point that looks can be deceiving and give the poem an ironic tone in the end. And then I also want you to note the repetition. 6 of the lines in the poem begin with "and." The repetition of this word helps to build a mental picture of Richard Cory. More importantly, the repetition places Cory higher and higher on his pedestal. This use of repetition helps build the narrative towards the climax, and this technique adds to the impact and shock of the last line of the poem, which is the anticlimax. You need these notes in your book as well. And then the last question, what do you think is the theme of the poem? So I want you to quickly think about it, and just in your head, what do you think if I was in class and I had to cold call, and I cold call whoever, Mlibo, what do you think is the theme of this poem? Excellent. So the central idea or theme of Richard Cory is that wealth and status don't ensure happiness. A striving for what they interpret to be the top, everyone except Richard Cory forgets that happiness is more important than money and status. And then with his suicide, Richard Cory shows that having even the greatest financial wealth and status does not mean that a person has everything needed for a fulfilling life. I think that's a very important lesson for all of us. Okay, grade 9s, make sure you've got all your notes in your book, please. And then if you are done, you can click on the quiz. It's multiple choice mostly, and you can complete the quiz for me. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.